and we will go from there. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, the 30th of June, and this is an extraordinary meeting of the Trust Board in public. My name is Anita Day, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm chair of the Trust. First of all, really want to express my gratitude to colleagues for making this extraordinary meeting. It had to be done at short notice for reasons that will become apparent as we go through the agenda, but we have and so we're going to get through things as briskly as we can to do the work that we need to do so that everyone can get back to doing other things. But that's absolutely our plan. In terms of our agenda, you will all have seen it. Do we have any declarations of interest on this afternoon's agenda that anyone would like to declare? I'm talking about specific declarations of interest, of course. I don't see any hands raised, so I'm going to say no. Obviously, our normal declarations are on the website as per normal. Apologies for absence. I think we have apologies from Teresa Murphy, our chief nurse, and from Justin Daniels, our CMO. Do we have any other apologies, Stuart, that we're aware of?
No other that we're aware of, and we're quorate.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. In which case, let's move on to our agenda. We have just 2 items on this agenda, which were both urgent, which is why we felt it was important that we convened this extraordinary meeting. So the first one is entitled HCP Committee, and I'll hand over to Stuart, I think, who's going to lead this one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the reason that we need to set up the extraordinary board, as the paper sets out, is that the ICB had asked us to move to these shadow arrangements before the 1st of July. And in the context that we had a board seminar at the start of June that set out the roadmap for what we're trying to achieve with the HCP changes. The paper itself is a relatively straightforward technical paper just to approve the creation of an HCP committee of the board, approval of the proposed terms of reference, which have been circulated and discussed by HCP partners, and the changes to the standing orders to enact the HCP committee. As a secondary point, we also do an annual review of the standing orders, and those revisions are also presented for approval and have also been considered by Audit Committee. And lastly, to say, Audit Committee considered all of this at its meeting last week, and again was satisfied for it to proceed to the board.
Great, thank you. I'm going to open it up for either comments or questions from anyone. Maybe whilst people are thinking about that, maybe I could come to Karen as chair of Audit and Risk Committee, if there was anything you wanted to bring to our attention as regards this paper.
Thank you, Anita. No, we had a chance to go through the paper in full at the Audit Committee, and we were satisfied with the changes as proposed in that paper.
Thank you. Any other comments from anyone involved in the work? Adam?
Yeah, just briefly, not to challenge anything that Stuart said, because I think all the technical things have been well put together, but just to kind of put on record that this was very much a lift and shift, as it were, of the existing model in order to get this committee set up. It is in shadow. It will be run as a committee in common with the ICB committee that currently runs and has the power vested to it, but it's really to get the vehicle in place so that the work, and there's a slide that sets out the kind of July and November position, and by November we should do all the work on delegation agreements, and we've got a workshop set up later, no, I was going to say this month, but it's right at the end of June, isn't it? During July, where we'll bring in partners together to really start to shape what this looks like, what's the right representation, and then get all the legals and other work in the background. So this is very much a holding position to enact something from the 1st, but the real work will continue now through until November, and the board will get sight of that work as it progresses.
Thank you. And I think you've just answered my two questions that I did have. One was exactly that about the level of response or feedback that we've received from system partners, or I should say place partners specifically, on this paper. And you mentioned that there is going to be this larger group meeting in July, but so far, have you had any unofficial comments or feedback from anyone at place, or indeed from the ICB?
So the paper here does include a number of changes. They're largely just reflecting the change in arrangements that up until now I've shared the SRO position with the Chief Exec of Hertfordshire Community Trust. This changes that position, so we've changed the membership to reflect my role in that, but then to have an executive member from the HCT, and there are one or two other just descriptions that mean it wouldn't have made sense because it is a slight change. But at that level, it's just been very much kind of wordsmithing. There's been nothing of substance. But I think in the next iteration, there's going to be some of the real questions around what does primary care representation look like? What does local authority, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's when we're going to get the more engagement in really trying to move the work forward in a more substantial way.
And I have one more question. I can see Richard wants to come in, but I had just one more question. You mentioned November, because one of the things that goes through the paper is that this will be in shadow form until the delegation is done. So we expect that delegation to have taken effect by November. Is that the timeline that we're expecting?
Yes, by the end of November, we would look to have all that in place. I think in terms of delegation of budgets, for example, that's unlikely to happen before April next year. But recognising that the ICB in its current form are in a complete state of flux, and by November it's expected that the cluster of ICBs will have taken shape. Clearly, some of those things are yet to be fully nailed down. But I think the expectation is by November we will be in a very similar position to the other two places who have done this work on the delegation agreement and those kind of things in the background.
Brilliant, thank you. Richard.
Thanks, Anita. Adam has partially answered my question. The other part was November. Is there a specific reason for November, and what if we need more time?
So I think there will be the ability, if we need more time, to ask for it. I think the one very firm date was the July start, which is why we've moved to this holding position. But I think the team who've been working on this in the background, including legal, governance, planning, believe that November gives us the amount of time we would need to get the delegation agreements in place and the right legal advice, and for it to come back to the HCP board or this group we're setting up, but then importantly for this board, for us to agree, because the actual technical transaction, as it were, is between the ICB and us as a trust. But clearly we want to include partners in that shaping, even though it could in theory just be between the two organisations. So I think we're confident that that gives us the right timeline with the resources we have available to make those changes, but recognising between now and then there could be a shift in dynamic. But from the conversations we've been having across the broader footprint, I think Hertfordshire is still seen as leading the way in many respects in place-based working. And the 10-year plan that is due to be published imminently, I think similarly puts that focus on place and neighbourhoods as an organising principle. So I think we're quite confident the direction of travel is set for the new cluster as well.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments from anyone? Jill.
Thanks. So if there's this really important opportunity in July, Adam, with partners to sort of develop this iteration further, will that come back to us? And the only reason I ask that is it's quite difficult to interpret, isn't it, at the moment with the level of detail, the quoracy, what does that mean? Because one doesn't have or I don't have a sense of the number of SROs, or the opportunities for people to feed in and support this work through subcommittees. those sort of things. So will that come back after the July? Is that the intention?
Yeah, and I think the July is unlikely to be the only event.
No.
I think there'll be a number, but you're right, it will definitely come back to our board, because ultimately the board will need to sign off the substructure that they're content with and the membership. There are a number of things unknown at the moment in the how much will the ICB want to remain a member of this board and at what level. Also, you'll see from the current membership, it's quite ICB heavy because it was a subcommittee of their board. I think that will back away a bit. I think the primary care membership to date has been limited in that technically the only voting members of this current group are statutory body leaders, so myself, HCT, the ICB. And what this committee allows us to do as a committee of our board, that we are empowered to make full members of who we like, and therefore we could co-opt a number of GPs, for example, or community pharmacists, or whatever we want into it. So I think it does give us that ability to shape it. But clearly, importantly, this host provider role is a convener, and it's important we bring partners with us. There are at the moment a number of subcommittees of the board. So there's a quality and safety committee, a finance, a clinical, professional, executive transformation group. Now, they were set up largely to mirror the ICB committees, but I think this will give us more freedom to look at the committees to do the roles that we believe at place they need us to do. And we can find a way of assuring the ICB as the strategic commissioner that we are enacting our responsibility. So I do think this gives us a bit more of a blank canvas, recognising that there will be an assurance role, but importantly for me, I think the nuance in this next phase moves us to be less assurance, because otherwise we'll risk duplicating lots of information that goes through our own boards to something that's really driving change for the population.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other changes we've made, by the way, on that assurance point, is the other two places don't have non-executive members from the provider trusts, and that was something we were very keen to put on as our membership. So you'll notice in there it says one non-executive from HCT and one from ourselves. I think that's part of us wanting to show that that we've got that sort of non-executive scrutiny and oversight, but also by equally doing it with HCT is, again, it's that bit about partnering. But I'm with Adam. I think for me, the thing we need to solve is primary care, and I think the sooner we can get this up and running, I've never been convinced that our primary care model that we had up to date was really robust enough and really strong enough. So if it gives Adam and the team the flexibility to really go after that and get that right, I think it will be a really big advantage and really essential for what we're trying to do. Adam, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, conscious of the public board meeting, I think, Anita, without putting words in your mouth, when you were describing the primary care model, you don't mean the primary care delivery model, you mean the way we engage them. I didn't want to give the impression that we think the primary care is broken in East and North, far from it, but it was the model with which we've been able to engage them as partners in shaping the system.
Thank you very much for correcting me. That was absolutely what I meant. I wasn't talking about delivery of care. I was talking about actually that representation, making sure that the voice of primary care was loud enough and strong enough. So apologies if my words could be misinterpreted. That wasn't what I meant at all. Okay, so I don't see any other hands at this point. Clearly, today is the 30th of June. We wanted to enact this for the 1st of July. Hence, we needed to have this board meeting today. And this board is being asked to approve this paper to go forward as our terms of reference for the new shadow committee. Can I please, by nods, because I can see you all on one screen, can I get a nod? Oh, sorry, Stuart, you wanted to say something.
Sorry, can I just clarify? So we're seeking approval of a couple of different bits. So it is the terms of reference, but it's also the changes to the standing orders, SORD and SFIs.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, the whole thing. Absolutely. So can I please have, by a show of either nods or thumbs up or whatever, do we have board approval for this paper? Martin, do you want to come in, or was that no, you didn't want to come in? Okay, brilliant.
The wrong icon.
Easy to do. All right. In which case, I think I got a majority there. So thank you very much for that. We will consider this approved by this board. And can I, before I move on, just say, we absolutely want to express our heartfelt thanks to the entire team that has been involved in this piece of work. It's been a massive piece of work that's required many hours of late nights and overtime and the rest of it, and to get it done with the extremely tight deadline that was imposed on us by the ICB has not been easy at all, given everything else that's going on in the trust as well. So we absolutely want to put on record our heartfelt thanks to Martin, Laura, Jess, and everyone else that's been involved in getting us to where we are. Stuart, of course, sorry, everyone who's been involved in getting us to where we are so far. But clearly, this is a sort of the getting the stake in the ground. What happens from now is how we actually make this real and really start to deliver the benefits for patients. Thank you very much. Right, moving on then to the other matter on the agenda was the equality account. I know Teresa isn't here, but Mel, over to you.
Thank you. So I think this has obviously gone through, the reason coming to the board is for the approval before it's published. It's been through the various subcommittees, and I think from Quality and Safety Committee last week, the committee was quite keen to show the feedback, the positive feedback and the journey of improved engagements, particularly over the previous year. If you look at the maternity journey, and obviously that the positive steps that's come off the support programme, there are lots of good work. There are areas that we still need to do further work on, for example, the complaints responses, and that's working joint hand in hand with the divisions. So in the quality accounts, I'm not intended to go through all the umpteen pages of it, but there are the clinical quality priorities for the next year, which again the divisions have all had input to, and those priorities will be used to form the new clinical strategy. And because the quality strategy has just expired, we're looking to do a joint clinical and quality one. So that will be next coming onto the agenda. And I can't remember which page it's on, but Annex 1 is definitely the feedback which has come from external partners, and shows that engagement and the journey. Yes, there's always more to do, but actually it's a really positive story. So that in a nutshell is what I was going to show. But if anybody's got any questions, then please let me know.
That's great. Now, in David's absence, I don't know, Jill, if you had any comments from QSC on the quality account, anything you wanted to highlight to the board?
Happy really to reiterate, Mel, what you've said there. I mean, we were very pleased with the rigour that had been given to presenting the story over the last year, and that being a very balanced story of things that have gone well and things that still needed to improve. But the one thing that we did discuss at the committee was the need to learn and respond to the feedback that we've got from our three external partners, the ICB, Health Watchdog and the Scrutiny Committee. And there were some themes there about strengthening the way that we engage going forward, and there's a huge appetite for that, and that's what we want to see.
Great. And yes, I thought it was extremely good to have those three sort of external testimonials in there. I thought that was great. I had one question, and I apologise for my ignorance. There's obviously a statement from Central Bedfordshire HOSC. We don't have anything from Hertfordshire HOSC. Was there a reason for that? I don't know if anyone could answer that.
I apologise, I can't answer that, but I can certainly find out.
I'm just interested because obviously Central Bedfordshire are an important stakeholder, but I would have thought that Hertfordshire HOSC, we might have engaged with them. I don't know, Ailey, if you know anything about that.
I don't, but I do know with some of the administration updates at Hearts Community, we need to re-engage with the HOSCs, but we can do that now. I can give you some contacts.
Okay, I think that's quite important because I think HOSCs are an important stakeholder for us. And as I say, it's good that we've got that input from Central Bedfordshire, but I would like to ensure that we're fully engaged with Hertfordshire as well. Adam.
Yeah, I don't know this. I would have fully expected we would have written to Hertfordshire HOSC, but clearly we're in the hands of which organisations respond to us. But we will definitely close that loop and make sure that is the case.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. Okay. Any questions or comments on the quality account? No, okay. I mean, again, reiterating the comments from Mel and Jill, I thought it was really balanced. There was lots of really good things in here, but it wasn't sort of shying away from things where we absolutely have ambitions to be a lot better. And I think overall, I thought it worked really well. And it was it seemed like a fair summary, if you like. This is also an approval. It is also for our assurance, but it is for our approval prior to publishing. And we're being asked to approve the publishing of that account. Could I have, please, board support or otherwise for doing that? Thumbs. Yep, nodding. Okay. I think I've had blips from most people, in which case, thank you. I will take that as our approval. That being the case, do we have any other business for this meeting? No? Okay then, thank you very much again and I should just say, and just as we said about the HCP papers, putting together a quality account is a massive piece of work. It really is. It takes many hours to produce it. It's something that we have to do. We know we have to do it, but actually making sure that it's of such high quality as I believe this one was, I think was absolutely paid testimony to the team that were involved in that. So please pass on our thanks to Teresa, Mel, and the whole team, M&M, everyone who was involved in putting this together. Thank you very much. I don't have any other business that no one's waving a hand or anything, in which case I will suggest that we draw this meeting to a close. Clearly, this was an extraordinary board meeting. We go back to our normal meeting, I believe is on the 16th of July, our next formal public board, and look forward to seeing you then. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.